welcome to another episode of Mishti Talk. Today we're going to be discussing how to glow up.
Yes.
So basically what that means is your self-worth as a person, also sharing our journey of sort of how we got, to where we got to here, factors in our lives that have affected, our confidence along the way, and, things that have shaped us to be who we are today. So I just want to sort of kick off, I guess. I was just kind of thinking about this when we were talking, where it kind of started for me as to I wasn't, always an extrovert. I was very much sort of in my shell, very shy, awkward person, growing up. And for me, it kind of started in primary school. So two things that I can kind of put it down to that affected my self-confidence and worth was, experiencing sort of racism at an early age as a child, because Australia wasn't very diverse. Back then, even Sydney, I was maybe one of two or three people in my whole school that came, from my, specific background. And then that makes you question or be ashamed of, who you are, and I guess not be proud of your heritage. So that kind of stayed with me for some time. Especially being so young and vulnerable, that, impacts you.
I think that's very true, because I remember when I was in preschool and kindergarten, and when I look back at the photos, I was the only brown kid. Whereas if you look at the photos today, it's really hard to find a non-brown kid.
Yeah, it's very diverse. It's very much a melting pot, which is great. But we didn't grow up in that environment.
No.
Yeah.
So that does it is true, because I used to always sort of retreat in my little shell, not being proud of who I was or my background, or if anyone asked, I used to sort of hide it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were ashamed of where you came from and who you were, and you almost had to feel like you had to put on another persona. Going to school, or once you left home,
just to
fit into the outside world. So that took some work to kind of, get your head around and acknowledge and be proud of, who you were.
So when did you feel like you got out?
I think I was in high school, I would say, when I kind of met more like-minded people, and it was still more of a diverse, I guess, open-minded, group of friends. I think that definitely helped.
Yeah.
And, in general, being more involved in, my community, events, and dancing was a very, very big part of, to build my confidence, to put myself out there in a public forum. And initially, the first few years, it's not an easy task, but, over the years, that definitely helped, me come out of my shell. And the other factor that, I think a lot of ethnics can relate to is, always being compared to others by your parents.
Oh, yeah, and it still happens.
The constant, comparison.
Yeah.
No doubt, my parents love me, and as do your parents, but they can't help themselves.
Yeah.
And it was that constant comparison, more so my dad, because he was, very academic. You can relate.
I know. It's always an academic comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's got a PhD and you've only got this. And it's constant. From school, you think it's going to end. Uni, no, it doesn't end. And then, later on in life, why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? Why don't you do this?
Yeah.
Why haven't you worked this? This person earns this much. It's never ending. There's never a filter.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And, they coming from a good place, but they don't understand that does kind of break you down.
Yes.
A little bit, and does affect your confidence and your self-worth, because you're constantly being compared and being made to feel like that you're not good enough. You can't live up to their standards.
No.
And always being compared to a matrix as opposed to other qualities as a person, a overall, there's other qualities of a person that you should, I guess, respect, admire, look up to, apart from just what looks good on paper.
Exactly.
And that's what it's about. That's your unique power, your superpower. And I think that coming to that realization took me a long time to break out of that, those bubbles and, those barriers.
Yeah.
Right?
I think when you say that, it sort of reminds me of that saying. I mean, probably not going to say it right, but you can't sort of teach a fish how to fly or a bird how to swim. A bird belongs up in the air flying, and a fish is in their own world, and both are great in their
Yeah.
own worlds. But the thing is, if you're trying to make a fish fly, it's never going to happen, and you're constantly going to be compared and disappointed.
Yeah.
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 So yeah.
So how did you kind of, I guess, come out of all those barriers and challenges?
I mean, I still face those challenges to this day, but it's a matter of filtering out what's going to, like, if that information is going to be beneficial to me or if it's going to break me down. And if it's going to break me down, sometimes you can't avoid certain people, right? So you have to listen to it, and then you just let it go and go, that person is coming from a different stage in life or a different thought process, which doesn't matter how much I argue or try to get my point across, they're never going to get it, and I'm just wasting my good energy on that. So I think I finally realized that in like my 20s, like after uni, after I got a job and I sort of got out there and go, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I've got to break free.
Yeah, break that cycle.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do to, come out of that, that cultural conditioning and everything that you've been, exposed to.
Yes.
Especially, being a child, and, that's when you're kind of being shaped, like as a person.
Yeah.
And then that also impacts relationships, right?
Oh, definitely.
And, your friendships, relationships that you have. So then if your self-worth is so low or you do not feel worthy, then you tend to kind of, I guess, take whatever is given your way.
Exactly.
Because you're feeling like you're not worthy.
No, and also
better.
like in terms of relationships, like because we come from a background where we're taught you don't have girlfriends, boyfriends, you marry them. Like if they're your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you marry them. So we weren't taught how to have healthy relationships. So from a young age, and I can see it with my friendship groups and those that were close to me, we were constantly looking for guys that we were going to marry. Not constantly looking for guys that we were going to have healthy relationships, which will eventually lead to something serious, and if the time comes, you would get married. But no, we used to jump all those steps, and we used to be like, okay, this is the guy I'm going to marry, blah, blah, blah. Think 1,000 things in your head and have 1,000 failed relationships, end up with the wrong people because we were in that wrong thought process.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. So I guess just kind of reflecting back on some of the things that I did to kind of break out of, all these barriers and build up my confidence and self-worth. The dancing definitely was a really big part of that journey, and hence why I'm still dancing, till today, and why it's so rewarding to also work with so many young girls as well, and see them, gain confidence and, just have that value yourself, like as a person.
I think that's that outlet that you
have. And also very important is having the right friend circle, the right people around you, not yes people, like people who support you and love you, but you also need to be able to hear their opinions and thoughts, not in a judgmental way, but just take it on board as a constructive feedback so you can grow as a person. But having the right friend circle and a supportive network of people around you is so key.
Of course.
As well.
Yeah, if your friends are lazy and not, have any goals in life, you're going to be the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of different factors that actually play a part in a person's, self-worth or how they see themselves in the world, how they show up.
Yeah.
So this impacts, their job, like what kind of jobs they will be going for, whether they think they're worthy of a promotion or whether they're just going to be forever staying in the same position and not wanting better for themselves. Even in business, whether you're going to take risks, whether you feel that you're worthy enough, whatever you're offering out there, that people are going to receive it well.
Yeah, and in terms of work and business, it shows you've got a purpose in life as well. They've got a reason to do something, and if they're really passionate about it, it'll shine through, and that's when they would get that promotion. Whereas if they're just sitting dormant and going, oh yeah, I'm just going to this job, which I sort of hate, but it pays the bills, but I'm doing it anyway, and not making any changes or any life-changing decisions to improve their life, then they're just going to be stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their self-worth goes down with that.
Absolutely. And probably the biggest change for me was to decide to live on my own.
Yeah.
That wasn't an easy choice. My parents moved to Germany when I was 19, and the plan was for me to go with them. But I was right in the middle of my uni and I did not want to go. But the hardest decision was to actually face my parents and say, I'm staying. That was very, very difficult. but that was the biggest like learning
Breakthrough.
like curve for me, where I evolved the most as a person, being on my own, having my own life lessons, being independent, and that helped with my confidence and, you know, with my self-worth as a person. And, you know, I think you just need to put yourself also in uncomfortable situations,
Yes.
you know, to grow and
Yeah.
and transform.
Yeah, I think mine happened when I started working and I started seeing money come into my own account,
Yeah.
earned money, and I could start traveling. Like I could just book a ticket to wherever I wanted in the world, you know, back in pre-COVID days, anytime, and just go and explore. And that freedom sort of opened my eyes.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we're still a work in progress, and we always,
yeah.
always will
Learning.
be. Yeah, absolutely. But I think, you know, we have all the lessons that we have learnt along the way has definitely helped in the people that, you know, we are today.
Exactly,
And I think being happy from the inside is more important. Obviously, you know, you look good, you feel good, but the real work is from the inside. And, you know, no matter how great you're looking on the outside, if you're not feeling that inside, it's just not going to translate, you know, to the world.
Definitely does. And on that note, we've finished this segment up here. So I hope that sort of helps and gives you a bit of an insight into self-worth. Obviously, it's a huge topic that, you know, we can talk hours and hours for, but that was a little snapshot from our side.
Thanks for joining us. Like, subscribe, and comment to Mishti.